The answer to the question of which groups are considered protected classes? All of the above. The college does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, age, religion, disability, status as a veteran, sexual orientation, gender identity, genetic information, or any other basis protected by applicable discrimination law in its policies, practices, or procedures. This includes, but is not limited to, admissions, employment, financial aid, and educational programs, activities, or services. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VI and Title VII, the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Sections 504 and 508, the Americans with Disabilities Act, 1990, the Genetic Information and Non-Discrimination Act, and Title IX of the Education Amendments Act of 1972 are a few of the non-discrimination laws ensuring access for students, employees, and the public at Tulsa Community College. Let's take a closer look at some of these laws. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is the most recognized civil rights legislation. This landmark legislation prohibits discrimination in employment and education. The sections of the Act relating to education are Title IV, protecting students from discrimination on the basis of race, color, sex, religion, or national origin by public elementary and secondary schools and public institutions of higher learning. Title VI, prohibiting discrimination by recipients of federal funds on the basis of race and national origin. It also allows the United States to intervene in pending suits alleging discrimination. Title VII of Civil Rights Act prohibits employment discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, including pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions, and religion. Title VII also includes protection against retaliation for reporting or participating in a discrimination or harassment complaint. You may have noticed that the rights of individuals with disabilities was not included in the Civil Rights Act of 1964. A separate struggle for the rights of individuals with disabilities took place. The Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Section 504, is the federal law designed to protect the rights of individuals with disabilities in programs and activities that receive federal financial assistance. The regulations to put this law in action did not happen until 1977, following protests and sit-ins across the country. Individuals with disabilities followed lessons learned in the 1960s to peacefully protest to gain access to education. The ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, is another recognizable civil rights law. Signed into law in 1990, the ADA prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities in employment, transportation, public accommodations, communications, and government activities. This is not just about physical access through ramps or braille in elevators, but also access to programs and services. The law calls for reasonable changes to policies, programs, and services to avoid discrimination. The ADA was amended in 2008 to broaden the definition of disability, allowing greater protection. At Tulsa Community College, student accommodations are approved through the Disability Resource Offices, the Education Access Center, and the Resource Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. Employees requesting accommodations should contact Human Resources. In 1972, Title IX of the Education Amendments Act provided for non-discrimination due to sex. The original focus was on sports programs for female student athletes and is now most known for protections against sexual harassment and sexual assault. At Tulsa Community College, complaints of sexual harassment and assault should be forwarded to the Title IX coordinator. All employees and students are required to complete an annual training, HAVEN. All reported incidents should be forwarded to the Title IX coordinator. We have touched on some of the laws. A few other laws that influence TCC's policy include the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, protecting employees over 40, the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, or GINA, and laws regarding veteran status. Links to resources, including more on the laws, are included in the Resource tab in this training. Next, let's take a look at what discrimination might look like in a post-secondary setting. Select the next page to identify examples of discrimination.